got a friend here with me, Narithya. Ha!
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, I know her as Maria. I did, okay? I know her as Maria, so, and she'll explain a little bit about her name in a bit. She's originally from India and has agreed to share her journey and story with the podcast of how she ended up in Valencia with her family. So welcome, Maria. Nice to have you.
Thank you,
So-
Brianni. Brianni, I said.
That's okay.
Thank
So
you. I
fusion.
must be a bit nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. We are just drinking tea with Dame Dolly and chatting. That's all we're doing.
Yeah. Yes, we are. I'm gonna imagine her presence.
Glowing presence. Okay, let's start at the beginning. So you're originally from India. Can you tell us about your childhood and where you grew up?
So childhood was in Chennai. I was born and brought up in Chennai. We're Malayalis, meaning we come from Kerala, but we sort of settled in Chennai, which is Tamil Nadu, a different province.
Okay.
Childhood was wonderful in India. It was growing up in the 90s. I mean, I was born 88, but ever since I could remember, it was the 90s.
Yeah, it's the best era to grow up in.
Yeah. And we lived in an apartment complex. And so we had so many children in the apartment complex. So we'd come back from school at around, say, 2:30. And we'd have a quick snack and we'd all run out to play. And the oldest kids in the building would take care of the littlest ones. And we were all, like, parents didn't care what we were doing for 2 hours after that. And then, so it was all like really good memories of growing up. And I also grew up in a beach city, so that means
Nice.
hitting the beach for weekends to eat. And so on our beaches, we get fried fish. So just go and grab some fresh fried fish. And it's like you're getting these little tiny stalls.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we just sometimes that was the weekend plan sometimes to just grab some fish.
That's so nice. I've never been to India, so I don't know, but I do know that the provinces are very different and unique, and there's even like cultural differences
Yeah.
and traditions that are unique to each region. So it seems like a really awesome and like diverse place to grow up for being in the same country.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's why I had to mention that I was from a different province, because
I moved in.
to an Indian watching it, they would like be like, okay, I would click like in different.
So what is the difference between the area that you're originally from and to the area you moved to?
Well, language is one. We speak a different language. Originally, we come from Malayalam, as in we come from Kerala, where they speak Malayalam. And I grew up in Tamil Nadu, which they're neighboring provinces. But the culture is very different in the sense that the Malayalis are more. I mean, the aesthetics of all is very different. Like Tamil Nadu, I see like lots of bright colors, and I see Kerala as more. It's very green. There's a lot of nature-oriented aspects, small town living situations. I would associate Kerala with white and gold and like pastel shades, and whereas Tamil Nadu is more vibrant and so yeah.
Interesting. What like stereotypes or misconceptions might people have about India in general, or anything that you've faced personally?
Well, we do not go to. It's a famous one, but we do not go to school on elephant backs.
You mean that elephant didn't fit in your apartment complex? I don't understand.
No, not at all. Sadly, or horseback. But I think what I mostly encountered when I'm speaking to people is, wow, you speak English. That is one of the big ones. Also, I feel like one of the biggest misconceptions would be sort of like urban India. I think how people see India in the media is very different from what it's really like. And I feel urban India is what would surprise someone who's visiting. Of course, we see the slums, we see the streets, we see everything negative associated. But when you see urban India, like, okay, it's not that different from the rest of the world. So I think that would be the most surprising thing about India, for most people. So
And what about the geography of India? So you said you grew up in a coastal beach town, but isn't there like pretty, I mean, it's pretty dynamic in terms of all of its assets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have, I mean, because we grew up in like Chennai, which is one of like the metropolitan cities, it was assets as in Bangalore was very tech oriented, which is in Karnataka.
Okay.
And so Bangalore is very tech oriented. Chennai is very cultural. We have the temples and the dance and all of that. And so we grew up in a cultural city in that sense. I think a lot of people also talk to us about, oh, do you really have that in India? And in fact, we do have a lot more apps and all of those kind of things. Like what we miss, there's an app for somebody to come and pick up your blood in case of a blood test. There's an app for literally everything. These days, I just recently saw that there was an app for somebody to come and cut your veg. If you're struggling to cut
Wow.
veggies, there's an
That's
app
kind
for
of
someone
cool.
to come and cut your veggies for you.
I immediately went to like the American thing where you're too busy to cut your vegetables. Not like you might need assistance, but like you're just too lazy or like busy.
Yeah, well, there's also something called Urban Clap, which is a great app for all these household fixing things, you know. Your AC is not working, okay, call Urban Clap. They're going to fix it for you. You want a massage at home at 2 p.m., call Urban Clap. Somebody's going to come and give you a massage at home.
What?
It's there's a certain ease with which that we function, which is, I mean, of course, it goes into a deeper conversation of how staff are underpaid and therefore we can afford these services. But yes, we do have a lot of apps that sometimes when we move from India to Spain, we're so pampered in our own country that we feel like, oh my God, like, is there no app for it yet? We should be making this app here
Yeah, you just
right
make the app
now.
here. So, what was the reason for your relocation to Spain?
My husband got a job that required us to move, and that's one of the main reasons we decided to move to Spain. Well, he had an opportunity it was with Dubai versus Spain, and so then we picked Spain over Dubai because, well, we had several reasons. I think it's sort of like a dream destination. First
Yeah.
of all, it's so exotic, and there were several Hindi movies, Indian movies made on Spain, and it looks so wonderful. Also, I'd seen Vicky Cristina Barcelona when I was a kid. That was my idea of Spain back then. But yeah, and so, but then on a more serious note, I think why we picked Spain over Dubai was because there's something about European elegance and class or that I would love for Amelia to sort of inherit from just being in this space. There's also travel, which you can see so many beautiful places. Expose her to the world in that sense. Be able to when flight tickets to neighboring places are not as expensive, it becomes that much more easier to show her the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she was definitely the center of our decision making process. That's why we picked. These are the little reasons of why we decided to move to Spain, but it was such an exciting opportunity that we couldn't even
Couldn't say
think
no.
of not. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, one of the things I love about Spain is how family friendly it is. It's
Yes.
like you never feel like you're an inconvenience when you have your kid around. Was there
Yeah.
anything difficult about making this decision and relocating?
Well, the toughest thing obviously has to be family, leaving family behind. My parents are almost 65, 70, not very old, European or Western standards, but an Indian parent is going to crib and wine the second they hit 60. So we age very differently in India. So, I mean, leaving them behind is definitely a painful process. It's thinking about them, but also thinking about Amelia at the same time. And for her to have that, she craves them and their love, and she loves to be around them. And that's something that yeah, family was tough leaving behind, I would say. It was one of the tougher ones.
I'm sure it will. What did you gain by coming here?
I would say the exposure um, to so many different people, so many different cultures that we've been exposed to. Of course, we come from a very of course, we come from a very culturally. Oh my God! Of course, we come from a very culturally rich country in itself, and so Spain feels like a extension of that. But at the same time, for us to be able to meet, I have friends from Colombia, from Brazil, from America, UK, Poland, Bulgaria. I'd never dreamed of having even met people from places around the world, you know. And so, uh, yeah, I think just that sort of exposure is one of the biggest gains for me and for Amelia, because what I wanted for her was, even when we decided we were going to go on this journey, was to have a world view and not have this sort of closed up. We live in a little bubble. Otherwise, we go through life living in our little bubbles. And for us to be able to expose her to so many different people, so many different cultures, and just see life and this living experience from like a universal point of view rather than, one single perspective. I think that is our greatest gift to her as well as to us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Had you traveled a lot before moving here or not?
No, I had not traveled. I actually traveled. So my dad was a sailor, and that's where it
Oh,
comes from. My dad was a sailor, and so he had absolute no interest to travel once he came back home.
I get that. I kind of
What are
understand
we
that.
doing? We're staying right here. This is my holiday. I have seen the world, and this is exactly what we're gonna do. So,
Dad, come on. What about the rest of us?
yeah. And so we didn't really take trips. I think when I was 5, we traveled to Australia. I
Wow.
went sailing with my dad for a year, and so that was a nice experience. I don't remember too much of it, but I was 5 and But we did sail for a bit. But after school started, I went to a convent school in India, and so the nuns
Man.
didn't really appreciate the fact that you would spend on lavish holidays or anything like that. So, well, I didn't travel too much as a kid. And so, as a grown up, I had traveled to Singapore before, and that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah. And so, coming to Spain and to being able to see and meet people from all around the world I'm so grateful every single day. Like, yeah, it's been a truly wonderful experience.
Now, how does the school compare? Because that's a good, I mean, Catholic schools, let me tell you, I did Catholic high school for a few years, so I feel your
My
pain.
gosh.
But how does the school system compare from your experience to what Amelia's experiencing?
Well, we wanted for her to have this experience, which is it's a mild experience, I would say, because Indian education system can be super duper intense.
Okay.
And so we wanted for her to have like a more relaxed, enjoyable experience to learning. But that also stresses us out as Indians because we're like, why aren't you learning as much? Sometimes we're like, we go back to visit India and our friends' kids or our cousins' kids who are of the same age their math levels are so much higher or their reading level is like skyrocketing and we're just like, our kids are like, but I feel like Spain allows you to, there's room for overall development and not just academic development, which is something that we wanted for Amelia as well. And we're very happy for her to have that. But of course, as Indian parents, we always stress about education.
Education.
We're like, why aren't you? Sometimes Amelia's number 2, like when she's writing 2, sometimes they still turn the other way, and it really like stresses me out. So
I mean, Declan wrote things backwards for a long time too. Is he year 2 now? year three now. And
Okay.
I was, one of the best things that his teacher said to me was like, how long have you been here? How long you lived in Spain now?
2.5 years now.
Okay, so it's similar. One of the best things his teacher said to me was, you need to be his mom, not his teacher. Like, he'll get there when he's ready. And it was like the best because I was stressed. Like, he's not reading yet. I was reading when I was like 4.5, 5, and he's like
Yeah.
6. Like, what's the problem? And she's like, well, he's a different child and he is in a foreign country and there's different circumstances. And I thought like that was like, okay. And then after that, as soon as I let it go and let him like do his thing, now he's
Yeah.
great. Now he's like, Mommy, I'm gonna read a book to myself. So like
Wow.
yeah, like so I get you. Like it's hard not to compare to home because you
Yes.
don't want your kid to be like behind or different. But equally, like they're all gonna get there when they're gonna get there, you know? But it's hard. It's hard to like
It's
accept
hard.
that
It's
as a
hard
parent.
to let go, that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, is this the right thing for my kid? I don't know. Like, ah. At least that's how I feel half the time.
Yeah.
So did you have any issues in your relocation, like with visas or bureaucracy things, like getting anything accomplished?
Honestly, I think because of my husband's job, the organization took care of the whole relocation part, and so we were okay. We didn't have too much. We didn't struggle too much on that front. Of course, with regards to housing, it took us about a month to find. That was a factor that we were worried about, but it took us a month, and we relocated here in July, and it was almost everything was dead. And it scared us. We were like, oh my God, what have we done?
Yeah.
Nobody was responding to emails. I mean, we'd heard about systems being a bit slower and things like that. But when we came here and it was
Yeah.
August and it scared the bejesus out of us. We were like, oh my gosh, what have we done with our lives? And then September came and everything back to normal. And we're like, oh, okay. So yeah, well,
I love
I
that you
think,
pointed that out because nowhere else in the world, well, I mean, I think France and Italy do the same thing, but like everything stops. Like they just stop.
yes.
And you're like, hello? Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
It literally, and we're talking about Rusafa. We were living in Rusafa, and it was a ghost town for a whole month.
That's
And we're
crazy.
like, because we read online that this was the most vibrant neighborhood in the city, and then we were there, and it was like, oh my gosh. But
They've
but
got great
after that,
restaurants.
things were back to normal, and we found a house in a month or so. And ever since then, I think Spain allows you to slow down. Sometimes you're like in a rush. I feel like you're rushing through life, and coming here has just allowed us to just take a seat, enjoy yourself, and then we'll get there.
Disfruta.
It changes your like mindset a bit, which I think is so refreshing to have when you come from a very hustle bustle kind of culture.
Yes. Like, like you were saying, like, all the apps and there's things to do and like the progress I mean, as an American, it's very much the same. Like so much tech industry is coordinated between our two countries, like
Yeah,
for
exactly.
good or bad. I don't know. That's a different topic for a different day. But like you have to perform and you have to hit this and do the target. And then it's like here it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's going to take me 30 minutes to get there, so I better strap in and I have to walk or bike or take the metro. And this is not a leisure metro that you can read a book on if you don't have So I think I love that you brought that up too, because you miss the little things so often because you're just rushing to the next thing to do. Like,
Absolutely.
and here it's like you can enjoy more. I love that.
Yeah. Life allows you those little gaps to just breathe and take it all in and, you know.
Yeah, yeah. How have you adapted to this new lifestyle? How's that going for you and your husband, if you want to speak for him?
Well, I think we've adapted pretty okay. I feel like any place can be sort of explore in that sense. So when we came to Valencia, it was like a 5 year or a 5-6 year.
Commitment?
Yeah.
Plan?
Yeah. And so I feel like, and the idea of in maybe another 4 years, or we're going to have to switch and start all over again. Right? And so I feel like, I think both my husband and I are of the belief system that if you make some good quality friends,
Mm-hmm.
your life is going to be okay, wherever you may be. We have each other as a core system, but as long as we have a friend that we can laugh with, grab a drink when we're so fed up with the faces at home, you know, I'm still recruiting, but
Applications are always accepted, right?
yeah, absolutely. But friends make it easier to adapt to a whole new place, the culture, I have some good friends here. We go to each other's houses, and so we're not lonely in that sense.
It's good.
In a very immediate sense, I would say. Of course, there are the old friends from back home that you miss, but from an immediate sense, I think with regards to adapting, friendships just made the whole process more easy to deal with. And
Did you find it easy to make friends here, or has it been difficult?
I think you're already at an advantage when you're a parent
Yeah.
because your friends make friends for you. And
So
I'm
true.
sort of just tagging along, you know. So my friends, my daughter's friend, mom. I mean, if you get along with a mom, well, you've absolutely lucked out because then the kids play, the kids get along, and the moms get along too. And I think that's a jackpot spot, you know.
Yeah, that's always lucky.
So I didn't particularly struggle in that sense. I've heard from other people coming in that it's a real struggle because they don't know where and how to start. There are a lot of these groups in Valencia though that
Yeah.
you can go to and you can start building friends. But I think as a parent, you have a bit of an advantage because I go to the bus stop, I meet people similar age-ish of sorts. Okay, we strike up a conversation there. Okay, we make a friend. Like we met at BCC. I have some
Yeah.
wonderful friends from joining a hobby and from dancing and singing, and all of us have similar interests, and so that was a great way to make friends. And so we're okay in that sense. You know, making
Absolutely.
friends has not been too difficult.
I mean, I can see, I think exactly right. Like when it's easier to make friends when you have a kid because you have like a built-in, you know, you have a commonality right away.
Yes.
It's always fun when like the kids like each other or you like the parent and the kids don't like each other. That's always a fun one because you're like, oh, how do I make this work?
Yes.
There's a couple times when I've wanted to hang out with like the mom or something. I'm like, Declan, we're having a play date. And he's like, I don't wanna. And I'm like, but I do. I'm like, you get to play with your friends. I was like, you're gonna suck it up for me so I can go talk to mine. Okay, mom. But it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
those are always the fun ones.
One of us has to compromise at
Yeah,
some point.
exactly. And I do a lot of things for you kids, so you're doing this for me. Oh my gosh, I had another question and I lost it, but it was about that. Oh well. How do you keep your Indian culture and traditions alive in this new lifestyle?
You know, one thing that we're really proud of, and both my husband and I are foodies, we love food, cuisines, and all of that. But one thing that we're really proud of is our food, and therefore we make it a point to cook Indian food every day, almost.
I'm coming to your house.
So, do you enjoy?
Oh my god, I love Indian food. Yeah.
Okay. We'll have you home sometime, cook for you. Because that is also another way that we do enjoy sharing our culture with some of our friends. And so, like for example, with Amelia, we were worried that once she comes to Spain, she would not be able to eat spicy food because we came here when she was 2.5, 3-ish, and her palate was just about developing. And if she was only exposed to Spanish food, it would have gone back down very quickly.
No spice. There's no spice in Spanish food. That pepper,
Yeah.
pimiento, no, nada.
No. Yeah. So we made it a point to cook Indian food. And these days I get so happy when she comes to the kitchen sniffing. She's like, oh, Mama, what are you making? It smells so good. And I'm like, yes, culture. So food is one way we transfer culture. sadly, my language skills are really bad, and that we'll talk about language soon. But language does not get passed on to Amelia as of now, not yet.
So like your native language, like from India, is that tricky, or like Spanish?
Yeah, the native language Malayalam. So I didn't inherit it. We just
Okay.
spoke English at home.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's difficult for me to transfer that. I mean, I understand the language and I can piece together
Things.
to survive a conversation, but it's not. We speak in English at home as well.
Okay.
So food, yes. Language, not so much. But we also, when we go back to what we try to do is sort of inculcate a love for the country, in a sense that we give her a good time when we go to India. We don't make it
Yeah.
a painful process, you know. We say, okay, let's do the fun things in India as well. Like, I remember when we used to go from Tamil Nadu, where I grew up, and we used to go back to Kerala, where my parents are originally from. It used to be horrible because we would only go to relatives' houses, and they would criticize so many things about you, your upbringing, the fact that you don't speak the language, or you don't do this according to this culture. And so we try to avoid those things, and we take her to India and show her the fun side of India. And so she absolutely loves going back to her grandparents' house, and they pamper her. Or we go to sometimes when you're from a place, you forget to do the touristy stuff.
Yes. That's so
So we do the
true.
touristy stuff with her, so that she also falls in love with the country, you know, like with her culture and heritage. Because when we were living in India, we had never, like the flamenco of Spain, we had never seen a dance. We had never gone to a recital like that in India. We just well, we just took for granted. But now that we've moved out of the country, we're like, we've seen the flamenco, but we've never seen a Bharatanatyam dance, you know, or a Kathakali dance. And so this time when we went back to India, we said, let's do that. And we told her, so we've seen the flamenco, this is what we have in India. And and so we went for that whole experience. And so in these ways, we just try to make it more fun and not obligatory. Oh my God, that's a tongue
Yeah.
twister.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I know. English. Bad. I think that's so important because I say that all the time. Like, I've lived in a lot of places where people want to come visit, or like there's a lot of tourists. And you forget sometimes that even though, you don't want to spend like the monies on the tour groups or whatever, like it's a good way to get acquainted with the cities and figure out like your stuff. And then I think Valencia does a good job of making it really like intimate and authentic, as opposed to like other places where it can be a little bit, how do I say this, like cliched.
Yeah.
So I feel like Valencia does it, and you can tell, like, I don't know which flamenco groups you've seen, but like you can tell like they love it and they're dancing because that they're passionate about it, and it's not
Yeah.
it's not just a performance for people, it's a performance for them too. So that, yeah. So again, I've never been to India, but I would love to go see all the different dances.
There are too many. We've seen, I think, two from two provinces.
I
That's
was gonna
about
say,
it.
aren't they different like in each province from what I understand?
Yeah,
Basically, yeah.
it's different languages and different food, different dances, different everything.
So let's talk a little bit about the food from like where you're from. What are like traditional dishes? Because we have our stereotypes like, oh, it's like curry or whatever it is, or tikka. We know tikka masala is made up. So, like, so what's it from where you are?
So because we're originally from Kerala, which is also a coastal, we're along the line. Kerala is along Arabian Sea,
Okay.
and Tamil Nadu is along the Indian Ocean. It's very coastal, our cuisine. So we have a lot of coconut in our food, coconut milk, curries, still spicy. We have like a dosa, which is a sort of a crepe. That's from Tamil Nadu,
Okay, I've
like
had
a
those.
rice crepe.
Yeah.
Yes. We have something called idiyappam, which is like a noodly rice thing, and like a rice noodle of sorts, which you have again with like a coconut milk curry, a chicken curry, or You can also have it with coconut milk and sugar. So, I mean, my mouth's watering already, but no, I'm doing a very bad job of describing the cuisine, the vast cuisine. But
I just keep coming up with random things to ask you. You were not prepared for this. This is not part of the test. I think for me, my son's father's from England, so he's always loved Indian food, and of course I had to start with like the tikka masala because I couldn't handle anything other than that. I need a very neutral, like entry level thing. But it's interesting because he grew up with that in his life, and I grew up with more like the Latin cuisine. Like I can eat spicy like Mexican food, and he can eat spicy Indian food, but it's not the reverse. It's not.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, give me that like pepper, and he's like, give me that like Asian spice, and I'm like, I can't handle it. So it's funny, just like I'm sure I could build up my tolerance, but it's interesting just what you're exposed to, like you're talking about with Amelia, what you're exposed to builds up your palate. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, true. And in fact, that's another way that we like to practice culture in that sense. Like when people come home and if they tell us that they enjoy Indian food, we're so excited to have them over, to cook for them. We do like a whole 3-course meal or 4-course meal with all these different things that we're excited about. And Amelia is also there to see people enjoy her culture as well, so and partake in it sort of. So that's another way that we also practice, I guess, culture in our household by just sharing it with everyone.
I think that's I'm a big fan of the food part of India for sure. Do you find anything particularly difficult about living here? I know we've kind of chatted about a few things like slowing down, accessibility to certain things, and then the benefits too, like being able to access different countries. But is there anything that you're just like, oh my gosh, why is this so different and difficult?
Well, one thing is language for me. Like I said, I'm just linguistically challenged, and just moving to Spain made it that much harder. Also, when it comes to job seeking, because I come from a communications background and where language is such a big part of what you do.
Yeah.
So job seeking becomes that much harder because language is central. So language is one. I mean, they say that you learn on the go. I don't know. I feel like it's not happening for me. I'm waiting for it to happen. They said 2 years in and you'll be like just rattling it out, and it hasn't happened for me. That switch hasn't happened.
I feel you.
Uh,
I've got great conversations going on in my head, and the moment I have to say them out loud, I'm like, bleh.
My husband has great confidence levels. And so he doesn't care if he's wrong. He's just going to wing it. And sometimes he just nails it. And he's just by saying it out loud, he's getting better at it, Like just by having that confidence to, I don't care what you think, I'm going to say it. And he's already 2 steps ahead of me because of that. So that's one thing I would say, language.
Yeah, I get that.
Doctor appointments. That took some time to get used to as well. Because in India, you also have an app for that. You can, if you want a doctor's appointment like yesterday, you can book it on this app called Practo. And you it's a visual, you can either just chat with the doctor or you can take a visual over and tell them your symptoms, and then they'll send you a prescription via the app, which is very valid, and you can take it to the pharmacy and they'll give you your medicines. So that took some getting used to, because here, if you have a problem today, you get your appointment 2 weeks later. By then you are super well and you don't need that appointment. You don't need to consult anymore. That was a struggle. I think it's a bit of a struggle still, because or maybe it's in a way it's good. Maybe we don't need the doctors as much as we think we do,
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know. So that's been a struggle. I think the doctor's appointments and language, I think, were the
2 biggest ones.
Biggest challenge. Yeah.
What are your opinion on the healthcare system in Spain compared to that of India?
Well, like I said, I think it's easier in India because it's very
Accessibility.
accessible.
Yeah.
Just from an accessibility point of view. We don't, well, in India, you have a whole different problem. It's possible that there could be frauds, but if you go to a reputable institution, you're fine. If you go to a reputable hospital, you're going to be okay. But at the same time, accessibility, you're going to have somebody there on call as you need them. So from that perspective, I think.
Is the
But
cost like similar, or is it cheaper, more
no, it's
expensive?
it's way cheaper in India as well. Way cheaper. Like here, it's what 20 euros to visit for like a not 20 euros. I mean, it's way more, right? Like if you want to visit, like sometimes it's almost 100 euros, I think, to visit for a consultation. It's sometimes almost 100 euros. And in India, it's about, I would say, 10 to 20.
Yeah. So for like, I don't know what visa you and your husband and family are on, but like for us, we had to have private health insurance. And so
Okay.
it is similar to like what you're saying, like where most things are covered for our private health insurance, but
Yeah.
you can't just, I mean, unless you go into the ER, like you're not seeing a doctor for a couple weeks.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
even if you have a primary care physician, if they don't have an appointment for you,
Yeah.
you're not going in, you have to go to the ER. Or maybe I haven't navigated this effectively.
No,
So I
it's
was
true.
just
Like,
curious of what your experience with that.
I think it was something super tiny that didn't require me to be at the emergency, but we had to stand at the emergency, and it felt like bigger in my head because I'm standing now at the emergency when I just need to have a casual little chat with the doctor to see if I'm okay. I'm not dying. I'm okay.
Right. Yeah.
Few hours I can wait for this conversation. Just not until I'm all better. If I know I'm fully better, I'm not going to the doctor. So
Right, exactly.
then it sort of defeats the purpose.
There's something
But
I
yeah.
wanted to go back to because we were chatting a little bit before we started recording. And you said something about your name. So Nrithya,
Yeah.
what does it mean?
So nritya means dance in Sanskrit. And yeah, I mean, we know each other from a jolly old that
Did
was
you
important to share.
did you dance before you moved here? Or was this just something
No.
you were interested in? Okay.
Honestly, I thought I was like a absolute terrible dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Singing was my thing, yes.
Okay.
I have some experience with singing, but dancing was just, I was terrified of it. I always thought I was the worst one in the room. But, you know, that's the thing. I think after you become a mom, for me, it's that. Or maybe it's just age. I don't know. It's one of it. But for me, maybe it coincided. But when you're a mom, I feel like and you're in the hospital room, and then there's everyone sticking their hands
Yes. Everywhere.
inside. Yeah.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. You stop being so embarrassed after that. You're not that embarrassed anymore.
You're literally exposed. You've been
Yeah, you're
exposed.
like, what can be worse than that?
Yeah, nothing actually. Absolutely
Yeah.
nothing.
So you're okay. So now I can dance. I can say I think I'm okay. I'm not so embarrassed.
And then what about singing? Did you do anything with singing when you were in India?
Yeah, so singing was a big part of who I am because when I was 18, I got my first chance to. It was reality shows. I did like one
Oh,
telephonic reality show. I had to sing on the phone, and then you get to be chosen for like a little setup, like a VJ would interview you and things like
that's
that.
cool.
That was
That's
my first.
cool.
And then when I was 18, I went on to do another reality show where I was on a band hunt. So I had a rock band. I was the lead vocalist of the rock band. And I don't know if you know of this super famous music director called A.R. Rahman, who is the music director of Slumdog Millionaire.
Okay, I know the movie, but not the
Yeah, Jay
director.
Ho. So he was the judge of that reality show.
That's awesome.
So it was a big thing, and I got a chance to sing background vocals for him. And then that went on to being a solo singer for a couple of Indian films as well. Yeah, so I was singing for films. I had my own band, and then I went on to write my own music and release a solo EP. It was produced by a big finance company. So I had up
So
to
you're
I think from
famous in
18.
India? What? Do you have a
No, I
posse?
would.
You have a following?
I, I had a little toe in Chennai, and then I was out before before anything else.
That's incredible, though. Good for you.
It was fun. From 18 to about 25, I lived like this pop star life.
Good for as you should win from 18 to 25. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So that was.
Is there anything you specifically, because you have talked about this a little bit, but is there anything else you hope that you or your family get out of this journey? You've said exposure and like the accessibility to different countries. Is there anything else that you're like,
Well, I hope Amelia gets the European sense of style. I love it. Honestly, I think it's such a just being in Valencia in general. I think it's such a visually beautiful place, right? That you can
it
just take a
is?
walk down
It's
the
so
street
stunning.
and the charming buildings, they always put you in a good mood. And then you see the abuelas and they're dressed so well and everyone's so well put together. And so that's definitely something that I want for her. But also like I've already said, I think it would be this view which I'm very particular about. I think it's so important to have an open mindset to life. And I feel like half
Mm,
of these, what we're going through right now in the world, I think it comes from this small-mindedness, this hate towards each other, and this absolute zero cultural sensitivity to each other. I think it comes from lack of exposure. And if we're able to give this to ourselves, just to see the world from their lens, So yeah, I think that is what we would hope for Amelia and for us. Yeah.
I think the same thing. I agree. It's lack of exposure, but I also think it's lack of control and trying to say that one culture is right versus
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
And there is no, in my opinion, there is no right or wrong. There's just different ways of doing things. And some of
Exactly.
them I don't agree with, and some of them I do. Like, I don't agree with going out and hurting people intentionally to get what you want. That's not a cultural thing I
Yeah.
think should be integrated into any society. But there are people who do it.
Mhm.
And then, you know, just because you eat, Indian food and I eat the stereotypical hamburgers and hot dogs, is one of those right or wrong? No, just
No.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
For us to be able to put ourselves in another person's shoe and just see it from their perspective, I think is important because it's important that like you had mentioned as well, to see that we're all similar. We're different, but we're all similar in a very human sense. The essence of us is the same wherever we're from. So we all feel pain the same way. We all are offended for similar things. So the human experience is the same, and so there's no right or wrong, and like you'd mentioned, and to see those similarities and appreciate the differences.
yeah, perspectives are good things. If we all were made from the same cookie cutter, wouldn't that be boring?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like not
Yeah.
we need the gingerbread men and the Christmas trees and the stars
Yes.
and the angels and this, you know what I mean? Like you don't just make one kind of
Yeah.
cookie at Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate, you don't just have one type of curry every day. That'd be so boring. You gotta switch it up.
Yeah.
The same with people, if we were all the same, if
Yeah.
we all brought the same things to the table,
Hmm.
that wouldn't taste so good. That'd
Yeah.
be bland.
That's true. But it's so difficult for so many people to understand. I mean, we all
I
have
agree. I think
we still struggle with different areas that we need to be more open to, or we need to, because every day the world is going and it challenges your own belief system in so many different ways. But just to have that open mindset is is so important. And if we can, in small ways at least, contribute with being an expat and with introducing ourselves and others to different cultures and different people from around the world, if we can do that, why not? So,
Yes, absolutely. I think people just fear what they don't know and what's different from what they're accustomed to. Like you just look at like religion for like just for like, oh, they believe that they're wrong, they believe that, like we believe this way, we're right. It's like, ooh, well,
yeah.
are you
So,
though? That will take us down a very big political rabbit hole at the moment.
yeah.
We can save that one for another day as
Live
well.
and let live.
Peace, y'all. Is there anything you'd like to share about like what people can learn from an immigration story, whether it's, sponsored through work or out of necessity to stay safe? What can somebody learn about this journey that you're on?
I would say that if you're moving to Spain, I think language, or anywhere in Europe, I think language is going to be a big part of your everyday life. And it can also make your life that much easier. For me, language has really been a struggle with, I just don't pick up phone calls because I know I'm going to struggle. I'm going to piss them off with me stuttering on the other side. I just don't pick up phone calls anymore, you know? So, or even like daily tasks. I think from the whole process, I would say, just to simplify the whole process, if you're able to get your language intact, even before moving, we started Duolingo before
Yeah.
we got here. But if you could take like some serious Spanish lessons even before you start your expat journey, that would be fabulous. Yeah, and try and find a way to integrate into the system or into society. Language can be a great place to start. Everything becomes much easier than so language, to put it very simply, get your language sorted.
How has the integration process been for you? Because like for me, Declan's in an international school, and so the common like language is English. So much of my life is still in English
English,
that
exactly.
sometimes it's hard to get where I want to be, even if I am taking classes. What has your experience been?
I have the absolute same experience.
Okay.
My daughter goes to an international school as well. The parents we meet. So my Spanish comes out when I know that the other person knows absolutely no English. Or that if that the other person is scared or is embarrassed to speak, then I'm okay to put out my Spanish. But if I know if they can speak a little bit of English, I'm just like, I speak English, and then because the Spanish people are very open to learning language as well. So that if they know if you speak English, they're like, okay, I'm going to practice my English with you. That's been my experience. Where they'll be like, okay, let's speak. I'll speak the English. I know I have a Spanish friend, and she speaks a bit of English. I speak a bit of Spanish, and we're both embarrassed to speak the languages, right? However,
Yeah.
two glasses of wine down,
The
she's
same way.
speaking in English and I'm speaking in Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. Yo puedo hablar la.
Yes, really. I think it's just a confidence thing. So it's but like you said, I think the first year I used a lot more Spanish than I am using now because my whole circle has become English speaking. So
It's a tricky one
it's been
too.
tough to practice. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like once you start that relationship in a language, you just continue it in that language, and you're just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, I hear you. Okay, is there anything you didn't know you needed to know about being an expat?
Well, I'm going to answer this question a bit differently. I think I would
Sure.
say being an expat takes you on a very inward journey.
Mm.
It takes you to who you are. Who are you really? Because when you're in India, you're just another person. In fact, maybe your religion becomes your identity, especially in India, because there are so many other religions, so people want to know which religion you belong to. Your religion becomes a huge part of your identity, but you're just an Indian, you're just another person. But when you moved to Spain or anywhere else, then you become an Indian. So it's taken me on a very inward journey, because then your identity and your nationality become almost merged into one. And so I feel like I'm more Indian now, or I've thought about what it is to be more Indian now more than I have ever in my entire life. And even connecting with my culture or whatever has only taken, has created this shift of mind, like a mindset shift after I'm living the expat life. In India, I was like, we want to be a global citizen. But here, and because everybody associates you with being Indian, it's food, or this is how, or even when they're talking about, even when you're in an expat group, and we say this is how we do it in our country, and every day it reinforces that you're from India, and we do it differently. And so I think this identity merge of nationality and who you are, that is something I didn't know that it would affect my being as an expat, because I thought I would go out into the world as this global citizen as well. Like just how it is in India. I would listen to the same type of music, or maybe in India you're also listening to you're more appreciative of like when I was growing up, at least, the cool thing was to listen to, say, the Backstreet Boys or Evanescence or,
Yes.
Metallica, or that's the music we vibed with, or that is the music that we thought was cool. But now when we move out, we're like, okay, we're watching more Indian films. We're enjoying it a little bit more than we used to before, I think. So it's a very, like, it's taking me in there, I feel, to my absolute roots. And
because in India, you're you, like your culture is all around you. This is the way you do things, Declan has
doesn't
a book
define
called
you in India.
Yeah, but well, you don't think it does, because everybody else is like similar. We're back to like the cookie cutters. Like we're all similar cookie cutters, Declan has this book called This Is How We Do It, and it follows like 8 different families, all from different parts of the world, and how they do things, what they wear to school, how they dress. And he still loves reading it because it's such an interesting like slice of the world. And again, like wanted to have that cultural exposure for him, one of the reasons we're here. But you don't think about how, like we've said, like we're all very similar in essence, right? But then where we grow up and how we're socialized really impacts who we are. And when you take yourself out of that environment and pluck yourself into a different place, you don't realize how much access you have to certain things, or how quickly you can get like a medical appointment, or how fast the response rate is, because that is how we are socialized. And then you realize how deep culture actually runs, and these systems and lifestyles that we've built. And then I think that's a really incredible point to make, because you don't realize, I like to call it like our operating system. I think the US needs to update our operating system, but again, different topic, different day. Yeah. But you kind of have to like do a different update like of your operating system when you go somewhere, because it's not the same. And then you realize just how much of that is ingrained in you that you didn't even take note to, because you're in this system and you're just operating.
Exactly.
And then you try to take this system and operate here. It doesn't work the same way.
Yeah.
You have to be tranquila. You have to paciente. You have to be patient. Like you have to wait. Espere. You have to like stop and slow down. Speaking specifically to Spain. So I think that's a really interesting point to make. You don't even realize how deep it is in you. Yeah. And then in ways like you miss certain things you didn't think you would ever miss. At least I do. I'm like, really?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. True. I mean, exactly. Like, there's some. I mean, it's not coming to mind right away, but there's some absolutely ridiculous things that I find myself feeling nostalgic about sometimes. I'm like, oh, remember the time we sat here in this absolutely horrible place, but it was kind of nice. Always also particular dish, or it's a particular experience, like a dirty beach, or
Yes.
yeah. So it's
Mine is like certain foods. Like I have not found a sushi restaurant that's like so good here. And people are like, "There's
yeah,
such great sushi." And I'm like, "Where?" Because I have yet to find it. Somebody, dime.
yeah,
Me digas.
yeah. Food is a big part. I feel like for Indian food, Barcelona has some good options, but Valencia, we're not there yet. So
Well, maybe you just found your calling. You can have Maria's kitchen. Nurtya's kitchen.
not a
You
bad
can have
idea.
Nurtya's kitchen where we dance.
Yes, we'll need the first name for that one.
Yeah, exactly. You got to make it authentic. If you say Maria here, they're
Yes.
going to think it's a Spanish kitchen or something.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my God, we don't want to eat Indian food by a Spanish
My
woman.
God.
No, thank you.
No, my son actually loves Indian food. He's always like, "Mommy, can we go there?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Really?
Anyway, yeah. There's a decent place by our house. Like, there's a couple places that we've tried. I'm a big fan of Sagaloo. Like, I need a potato, man.
Yeah,
Anyway,
okay.
I'm derailing. So there's like different places. I'm like, they have good this, they have good that, but there's not one place that we found that is so good with everything. But I guess that's just restaurants. Anyway, is there anything else or any other advice you would like to share?
Well, I would learn your language. Do better
You can do it.
than
Si
some
se
of us already
puede.
here. But
Well, thank you so much.
yeah.
I really appreciate your time. Maria, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
taking the
so
time to
much,
chat with me.
Brianna, for having.
Of course, of course. I'm so happy to chat with you about your journey. On The Mom Who Knows Nada, my name is Brianna. This is The Mom Who Knows Nada podcast. And until next time, I hope you find that you're learning something new